I decided I wanted to start having more of an impact in the field of marine conservation and add my voice to the mission and the vision of a planet with healthy oceans. I wanted to start with sharing my passion, sharing the things that I know about the ocean, and then bringing some guests on to learn what other people know and figure out strategies and ways that we together can make a difference. This is Marine Conservation, the podcast where we talk ocean protection, science, activism, and everything that makes our watery world so endlessly fascinating. I'm your host, Casey Snook. I'm a marine scientist, environmental optimist, and diehard ocean nerd who's dedicating my career to protecting the sea. Fighting for the health of our oceans isn't just my job, it's my passion, and I'm here to share that love with you. Join me and my guests as we chat all things ocean and share the science, stories, and solutions that keep it thriving. Whether you're a marine professional, or you dream of becoming one, or you simply just love the ocean and want to learn how you can make a difference, you're in the right place. Ready? Grab your fins and let's dive in. Welcome to the very first episode of This is Marine Conservation. I am so excited to be starting this podcast. My name is Casey, by the way. Hi, if we haven't met each other. Thank you so much for tuning in to the very first episode. I am going to do something maybe a little bit different for a pilot episode. I am just going to spend a little time telling you about myself, my background, my history, my origin story, why I decided to start this podcast. And yeah, just we can get to know each other a little bit more, which I think will be really fun. However, if you want to jump right into the marine conservation content, no problem at all. Just jump on over to episode 2. But yeah, if you'd like to get to know me a bit more, then tune in and I'm just going to tell you a little bit about myself. So, as I said, my name is Casey. I'm from Massachusetts. I grew up, I think, never more than 20 minutes from the ocean. My childhood was quite blissful in the sense that we just had access to the sea. It was right there, always. And I think when I was young, I didn't realize how lucky we were. I grew up in a family that was very environmentally conscious. So my dad is an environmental biologist. That's his profession. He is absolutely incredible at what he does. And I've always admired him for that. And my mom is the ultimate beach bum. Like no one loves the beach more than her. So we were there all the time as kids, before I had my first job as a teenager. Literally every summer, I feel like more days than not, we were just at the beach and, had a really intimate relationship with the ocean, even as kids. So me and my sisters would just spend a lot of time there when we were younger. And I definitely was one of those kids who said they wanted to be a marine biologist when they grew up and a paleontologist. I was such a nerd. I still am a nerd. I had such a big dinosaur phase as a kid. But yeah, always interested in the sciences and very passionate about the planet, about nature. And that's been true my whole life. But in high school, I took some more advanced level biology classes, and through that and also seeing the work that my dad did, I was pretty sure that I didn't want to go into biology. And I thought that marine biology was like kind of the only option as far as marine career paths go. What do you know when you're a teenager, right? I don't know. I don't know why I didn't really further consider it. But instead, when it came time to choose a major and go to college, I went the direction of engineering. I studied environmental engineering. And yeah, I definitely enjoyed it. I loved the problem-solving aspects. I loved the idea of helping, making a positive impact for sure. But I really was not sold on a career as an engineer. For whatever reason, I didn't feel like it was quite right. And I learned that I was correct. It didn't take very long. My very first job out of college was in Manhattan. So I moved from Massachusetts down to New York, and I worked on the 27th floor of a skyscraper in Midtown, and I hated life in the city. I learned very quickly that it was not for me. Not that I dislike cities, but New York is a megalopolis, and truly suffocated me. I would actually sing Concrete Jungle on the way to work. It wasn't for me. I'd go like, days without seeing a tree. It was only steel and concrete. And it kind of affected my mental health, that's for sure. But my job also was quite a challenge. So I was in an entry-level environmental engineering job, and I was excited to get going, to start my career and start making an impact. I was put on some environmental projects, on some water resources projects, and sort of my breaking point came one day when I was talking to my boss. I will never, ever forget this. I remember telling him that I was really passionate about environmentalism and that I really cared about the planet and I was committed to making a difference. And he looked at me and said, "That's cute, but at some point you're only going to care about the money, just like me." I was pretty appalled, pretty speechless. And I just remember thinking, our values, our beliefs are so very different. Me and my bosses, but maybe me and the companies as well. That's kind of what I gathered from that point, that they were more about profit than impact. And yeah, it didn't take me much longer after that to quit my job and decide I was going to start new, even though I was in a very unknown space. So my partner at the time, he's my husband now, but my partner lived in Germany. He's from Germany. And we decided we were going to move to Berlin and just start something new. During that time, I was so very lost. I had no idea what I was going to do. I knew I didn't want to go further in engineering, but I wasn't really sure what the next thing was. So I freelanced. I taught English as a second language. I worked in a number of restaurants and traveled quite a bit. I really enjoyed living abroad. And yeah, I was floundering. I did not know where my career was going. So at one point, all of the traveling we were doing was wonderful, and we decided to go to Indonesia because I wanted to learn to scuba dive. That was something that I had been interested in since a very, very young age, probably like 3 years old. I said I was going to learn to dive. I was going to become a dive master, just like my dad, who lived in California for some time, lived in St. Croix for some time. He taught diving, and growing up, his stories of the underwater world were my bedtime stories, and I wanted to have the same adventures that he did. You know, when you try something new and you're gonna love it, but then all of a sudden your world is blown wide open and you're like, oh my God, I'm a new human. This is how I felt. I was the most eager student they've ever had in the open water diving course. Truly, I was like, over the moon, completely over the moon. I knew my life had changed in those moments. I was not like a lot of the other people doing open water just for fun while they're on vacation. I was there just feeling the world shift, truly. So we stayed on Gili T for, I think it was about a week, did some diving, got to know the underwater world around the islands. It's truly an excellent place to learn. It's a great training ground. Really generally easy conditions, lots of things to see. So if you're thinking of doing your open water, great place to consider doing it. And after that, we went to Komodo. So we flew to Komodo National Park and we spent only a couple days there. We did 1 full day of diving and we were hoping to see manta rays. We did. One of the best days of my life, hands down. Easy. But the real kind of moment that I knew my life had truly changed was after that day of diving. We had spent an amazing day on the reefs, experiencing some of the most incredible life to this day that I've seen. Just absolute alien worlds, biodiversity that was truly mind-blowing. And I was on cloud 9 on the boat back to town, and we were looking for dinner in town, and we decided we were going to go to the night market. And I'd been to some night markets before. I expected kind of Southeast Asian street food kind of a situation, and it was. But I was really surprised. Maybe I shouldn't have been. I'm not sure in retrospect, but there were counters with lots of fish. And many of the species of fish that they had there for sale that you could choose and they would grill up for you were the same species that we saw diving on the reef, like rainbow parrotfish, just species that we recognized right away because we had just spent the whole day with them. And in that moment, both of us were like, oh my God, this is upsetting. And we left. We just felt really sad in that moment. And yeah, I mean, I don't blame us for feeling that way. I also know it's really important for local people to be able to make their money and feed their families. And fishing in itself, it's not a bad thing if it's done sustainably, of course. But I saw those fish and I wondered to myself, were they caught illegally? Like, we were in a national park, right? I thought that a national park was protected, that you wouldn't be able to fish in a national park, like a marine park. Doesn't that make sense? I mean, are they fish from like surrounding areas? And the gears were turning and I took to Google, as one does, and just tried to learn more about how the area was protected, what, government bodies were responsible for it, how it was managed. And I knew something was up. So that was 2019 in the fall. And as we all know, that spring, it was when the pandemic started. And didn't matter, I guess, because we flew home and I was a new woman and I was searching for any way to get involved in marine conservation. I knew it was conservation too. I didn't want to be a biologist. I had known that from a young age, watching my dad work as a biologist. And I have so much respect and admiration for what he does. And I interned in his lab in college, which was great for, father-daughter bonding, but I realized that was not exactly what I wanted to do. So I learned about conservation as a career path and found that it was extraordinarily interdisciplinary, and I thought, wow, I could really do this. I could make a difference in this field. I could use all of my weird out-of-the-box skills that I have and, bring them all together to make a difference. And so I found a program at the University of Plymouth in the UK. It was a marine conservation master's program. I applied in the spring of 2020. I lost my jobs anyways, so I was like, okay, let's go for it. Why not? Nothing to lose. And I got accepted and started that fall. So that was the fall of 2020. I started my master's program in marine conservation, and I felt really, really quickly that I was in the right place, that I was doing the right thing. Take away the fact that it was during COVID and things were all online and, everything was a bit of a mess. We couldn't meet in person for a lot of classes. Oh, you remember, right? It was not fun. My mental health I was struggling. Yeah, it was difficult, but I really loved my classes. And this program was only 1 year, so it was pretty accelerated. But I learned so much, and I got to the end of my master's program feeling like I only scratched the surface. My research project was supposed to involve travel and in-person interviews and research, and I didn't get the chance to do that, obviously, because the world was pretty much locked down. Classes were really quick. I made a lot of great connections, but yeah, I knew that I wanted to keep going, that this was only really the beginning for me. So it was a great experience. I wish it had not been during COVID. It was one of those things that was real and fun, but not real fun. I mean, I made wonderful memories. I made some great friends. I learned so much, but it was ultimately a means to an end. I got my master's degree, and the point of that was really to transition my career from environmental engineering, or, having done that in the past, to conservation. And by the way, if you think that you need a college degree in marine anything in order to work in this field, I'm pretty sure that you do not. I'm definitely going to do some episodes about that, about how you can transition your career into marine science and conservation, if that's something that interests you. But for me, it was a really strategic move to go back to school, get my master's, and then use that as a career pivot. So yeah, that was a big step for me. After that, I got a job at Shoals Marine Lab, and that's based out of the University of New Hampshire. And so I moved back home and started that job. And it was great. I mean, that organization and the programs that they run there are amazing. It's based on an island in the Gulf of Maine, and it's beautiful and just an absolute hub of science and research. When I worked there, I was the communications coordinator, and I did enjoy that job, but I was surrounded by so much science happening, and I wasn't really getting to be part of said science. I was doing social media and emails and lots of logistical operations things. And yeah, I can't say I didn't enjoy it. I had a really good couple of years there, but I definitely felt like I was ready to do more actual science and go further in conservation. So I left that job and I took a little time off to deal with some health issues as well. And I went back to Indonesia and I did my dive master certification, which is something I had always wanted to do. I really thought that it was important. Not only did I want to do it for fun, but I wanted to be really skilled underwater so I could do research underwater or do restoration underwater, teach diving, because I think there's nothing more impactful to get people to care about the ocean than immersing themselves in it. So it was a big step for me. I did that in, it was summer 2024. And I completed that back at the very same dive shop that I did my open water at. So it was a very full circle for me. Really proud of myself for doing that. I battled some more health issues during that time, so it was really difficult. I will tell more about that story at some point in another episode. But yeah, amazing experience. And then I came back home, moved from Massachusetts to Rhode Island with my husband, and started a new job as a field scientist for the Department of Environmental Management in Rhode Island and the Division of Marine Fisheries, more specifically. And I'm part of a research program that's collecting data on recreational anglers. So that's kind of where I am now. I work that job part-time and I have my side hustle at a restaurant. Still always have that in my back pocket. I've definitely learned the value of a side hustle. But yeah, times are strange and difficult right now. And I've sort of decided that, I can either scroll Indeed every night looking for my dream position, or I can make it. I decided I wanted to start having more of an impact in the field of marine conservation and add my voice to the mission and the vision of a planet with healthy oceans. So I decided to start this podcast because as much as I love writing, I'm definitely more of a writer than a speaker. I just think that in the age of AI and technological advances that are flying as fast as they are, it's much more intimate to have somebody in your headphones, listening to a podcast than it is to read words on a screen. And I've come to love podcasts more and more with time. And I decided that, there aren't too many ocean science podcasts out there, but of course there are some really good ones, but I am so ready to add my voice to the mix and to start making my impact however that comes to be. So I wanted to start with sharing my passion, sharing the things that I know about the ocean, and then bringing some guests on to learn what other people know and figure out strategies and ways that we together can make a difference. It is so easy to get overwhelmed and sad. Like, eco-anxiety is a real thing. And I think conservationists, part of the job description is optimism, truly. I mean, you have to believe that change is possible. I mean, science tells us it is, and you have to believe that we can make it happen. I'm pretty good at that most of the time, but sometimes things really do get to me, and it's hard. So I think building community in times like these is really important. And so I want to facilitate that as well. I want to bring together people that love the ocean and make sure that we can remain hopeful together, but not only that, take action together and make things happen. So that's sort of my vision for the future of this podcast. I'm really excited to be starting. I am so grateful that you are tuning in. We have some really cool guests lined up. I'm going to be doing a mix of guests and solo shows, so there'll be something for everyone depending on what you like. But thank you. Thank you so much for tuning into the very first episode. So now that I've told you a little bit about me, I would love to hear from you. I would love to know where you're tuning in from and why you're listening to this podcast. Are you a marine professional, or do you just love the ocean and want to learn more about how you can help? Let me know. I'd be so happy to hear from you. You can send me an email, casey@caseysnook.com, or if you follow me on Instagram, you can send me a DM. I can't wait to hear from you. Let's get connected and let's work together and help the ocean. What do you say? Thank you so much for tuning in, and I'll catch you in the next episode where we jump into the good stuff. I'll see you there. Thank you so much for listening to this episode of the podcast. If you enjoyed today's episode, be sure to subscribe and leave a review. It really helps other ocean lovers find the show. For the links and show notes, head over to caseysnook.com/podcast. And hey, if you have a friend who'd love this episode, make sure to send it their way and spread the ocean love. Remember, the ocean needs all of us to respect it, protect it, and keep it wild. Each one of us can make a difference. Until next time, keep standing up for our seas, and I'll catch you on the next episode of This is Marine Conservation.